Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs, Tuesday, July 5th. Welcome, everyone. My privilege and pleasure to be here with you on Tuesday, July 5th. We are into month number 6. Can you believe this? Of 2022. Welcome, everyone. My privilege and pleasure to be here with you. I have the wild hair look. You know, one of the things about getting older is how body hair, my hair used to be brown, now it's silver. I mean, that's called the process, due process. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Combs, president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars. Corey, how are you, my brother? Good to see you. Corey Van Winkle, professional salesman. Welcome. Michael, how are you today? Good to see you. Joe Casper, greetings from the villages in Orlando. TC, how are you? Carol Melangallo, welcome to this afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Good to be here. If any of you are experiencing sobriety birthdays, congratulations. My hat is off to you. I'm not even wearing a hat, but if I had one, it would be a cowboy hat, and it would be off to you. Welcome, everyone. Jeffrey Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, 2 for Tuesday. It is so good to be here with you. Jamie, how are you this afternoon? Corey, good to see you, my brother. Give me a fist five. Alan Noble. So, Alan Noble, all right. For those of you who do not know Alan Noble, I do want to recognize Alan. He is in Ireland today. Alan is one of Ireland's own. I have a little Irish blood in me myself, Alan. Alan was one of my first 10 coaching clients that hired me back in 1998. Alan went on to become a self-made millionaire. He's one of the most successful men I've ever coached. Mr. Alan Noble. He crushed it in the network marketing industry. He was definitely not an overnight success. Many years, and I can definitely say this, Alan absolutely knows what it's like to sleep on couches. Roxanne, good to see you this afternoon. Scott Lucas, good to see you. Matt Smith. Matt, where are you driving today? Matt is one of my most loyal clients, been to over 50 how many events, Matt? Over 50 events? Welcome. Let's move in to inspiration on Tuesday, on July 5th. The topic for today's Facebook Live is releasing trauma bonds and panic patterns. Now, I know that many of us have some of these same connections. We've been traumatized, we've been victimized, we've been sexually abused, we've been taken advantage of, we have been criticized, a multitude of situations that has formed anxiety, fear, and doubt. It creates sensitivity, defensiveness, it creates not good enough, it creates being pissed off, being angry, rage, hate, overwhelmed feelings, a whole series of emotions that create the neurological network of neurons that wire and fire that form the pinball machine that goes off in our head. Long-term trauma creates brain fog. Long-term trauma, the amygdala enlarges, the hippocampus shrinks, that's where your memory is, and then the prefrontal cortex also shrinks, and then over here, the reptilian brain sees lions and tigers over there. And so the ego makes up stories and then becomes sensitive and defensive. And this is one of the situations I have been overcoming most of my life, is the anger, sensitivity, defensiveness. And then this would create clenched teeth on this side of my face. And so, and then this would create the subluxation in this vertebrae, C1 and C2. Also would affect lumbar 4 and 5. Below the belt over on the hip, meaning out of balance in life. Richie Fox, Dana, good to see all of you this afternoon. Eric Picard. Topic for today's Facebook Live is trauma bonds, panic patterns, and narcissistic personalities that we grow up with. If you grew up with narcissists, people who hate themselves and they hate you, or they hate you for being born, or they hate you for whatever they hate you for, and you're a burden, you're the kid that's an accident, you're a kid that's in the way, you're the fifth child, you're the first child, you're the middle child, you're the child who has ADD, you're the child who has asthma, you're the child who has eczema, you're the child who becomes the family burden, the family fuck up, and all the other things that are just stories and you're just a kid trying to get along and navigate this. And this is when we become emotionally addicted to a set of feelings. As children, then we grow up and we attract people similar to fulfill our feelings. So we mate, date, marry, attract bosses, employers, and other people, uplines, cross lines, sales managers, and we attract these people who continue to violate us. Or at least that's the story. It's either they're really doing it or we make a story up. It's somewhere in between, but we end up attracting to reality these people. Now, here you are, you've been reading books, you are in this process of discovery, recovery, you're going to 12-step meetings, you're putting effort into changing, you're actually in the process, and you want to give yourself credit for that. However, you may not be creating the results that you feel you're capable of, which can create frustration, disappointment, resentment. I know I've been there a time or several, so I do understand this. This is why it's so important that you learn to love yourself, be kinder to yourself, gentler to yourself, not as angry at others, not as angry at yourself. Do your best not to criticize yourself. You can be honest about your procrastination. You can be honest about your avoidance, but you want to do it in a completely autonomous state where you're in the process of changing it. Now, these two words are very important words, character defects. And this was something that I had challenges with early in my own career when people would point out my character defects to me, or they would tell me to improve on my character defects. And then I would just get pissed off and get angry and get sensitive and defensive. And then I would blow out of a room, or I would do whatever I did, and I would brood and pout. And this is part of the behavior that I would hold on to for a few years in my early recovery sobriety. Then I started to learn how to let go. I started to understand how sensitive and defensive I was, what a short trigger I had, how angry I was, how I was alienating my own teammates and bosses and managers and other people and people I was attempting to date, because I had an ego that would rather be right than rich. I had an ego that was too conflictory and being too much conflict. Now, over the years, I put a lot of effort into separating those feelings from the events. You can do it too. The brain is affected by long-term trauma by meaning that if you're in relationships that are highly dysfunctional, the household you grow up in, the men and women you date, mate, and marry, the abuse that you encounter, the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, all of this contributes to create brain fog. And it hinders your ability to discern. It hinders your ability to trust your feelings. It hinders your ability to trust others. It makes trusting people very challenging, because these relationships that we're in intimately, we can't trust these people because they keep saying things about us. They keep gaslighting us. They keep saying these things. And so we start to doubt whether we're good enough. And that doubt lingers, and the doubt carries over into business, jobs. We make mistakes, get in trouble, get singled out, and we're attracting to the reality, the very situation we seek to avoid. And the more you understand this, you can absolutely change this behavior. It requires discipline. It requires a man thank you, Roxanne. Very good. I appreciate all comments. Emotional shutdown. You're correct. I've been there before. What happened to me once, Roxanne, is I went through back-to-back business failures. For those of you who've been in insurance, real estate, network marketing, direct sales, or you've been in other business selling, I experienced 3 back-to-back companies that I felt let me down, and I ended up in the short end of the stick, $100,000 in credit card debt, and I absolutely shut down for 6 months. I was reading Robert Ludlum, spy novels. I put all my personal development products up. This was in 1995. I absolutely had reached that place. I just didn't have it. I was emotionally bankrupt. So I just didn't have it. Not only was I almost near bankruptcy, but I was emotionally bankrupt. I had lost the ability to perform for a while. Ray says he's been going through this without the debt. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. Thank you for buying the product, Ray. I saw your purchase. So, I mean, whatever you're feeling, I've been there. I can relate to any one of you. I've been through the same situations that most all of us have been through. And there is a button called persevere. It's like you have to find the persevere button. But there's more than persevering, because you can't just persevere and be pissed off and angry. I mean, there's the frustration, disappointment. Why does this happen to me? It happens to you because it happens to you. It doesn't mean you deserve it, but it means that whatever happened is happening to you. It's going to be your responsibility to be able to breathe, release, and let go. And you can definitely rise to the occasion because within you is that greatness. Within you is the ability to be and stay emotionally sober. I mean, there's a part of you that knows how brilliant you are. You know you have that it factor, but the analytical egoic mind keeps going, yeah, but your past history is filled with failures. You failed in your relationships. You failed in other businesses. Yeah, but and then someone comes along and gives you a compliment. You don't trust them because, what do you mean? Why are you complimenting me? The ego's going, oh my God, I don't deserve a compliment. But people actually see it in you and they're complimenting you. And then it really screws you up because now you're not certain. Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? This is the brain fog that you live in when you've been in trauma bonds, when you've been in back-to-back relationships, back-to-back careers, back-to-back jobs, back-to-back people take advantage of you, traumatize you. And then you can't tell the good guys from the bad guys because then the good guy that's wearing a white hat, no, your ego goes, he's wearing a black hat. And the bad guy is wearing the white hat. And then you spend too much time in your head trying to figure it out, avoiding being your best self. So the only way to get through it is to get through it. That's correct. Thank you very much. So please feel free to put comments here. Comments are absolutely awesome. Beth Hoover, good to see you. Marie, good to see you. Good to see all of you here. It's awesome to be here with you on the first Tuesday of the year of our Lord, 2022, July 5th. Carl Mason is on today's Facebook Live. Carl is a cancer victor who also is a world-class cancer coach, and he definitely understands how to assist people with some of those traumatic times of their life. So when you've endured trauma, when you've endured rejection, when you've endured a lot of failures and ups and downs, it's very, very easy to hold on to not being good enough. It's also equally as easy to tell yourself you deserve to be the best and to begin the let go process, the separation between the feelings and the events that shape the identity that you don't require holding on to. If you have never been compensated, which you're capable of, if you find yourself in debt, just barely getting by, it's your dialogue with asking, deserving, and receiving that you must become comfortable with. And for you to be able to change your financial situation so that your annual income becomes your monthly income, it's your dialogue with asking, deserving, and receiving. Grinding my teeth and my lower back pain is telling me something is wrong. Yes, that's correct. I'm a recovering grinder right here, clench, and then my neck and back pain would be here and here and then low back. So there's a connection between that. That is the whole not good enough neurological network of neurons that wire and fire that creates the subluxations, the hypervigilance, the I'm not good enough situation, the fight or flight. Now, letting go is a skill set. On July 15th and 16th, I'm hosting a 2-day event. I'll host it one more time this year in December. All of you that have been coaching clients will have the opportunity to attend. It's called Millionaire Blueprint. And in that event, I'm going to be assisting people to really understand the mechanism of letting go. There's a mechanism to it. So it's like this, like in a combination lock. Remember those? We had those in our lockers in high school. So you turn 27 right twice, and then you go 17 left once, and then you go 15 right once. And then what happens is the tumblers line up. And they line up, and then it's like thunk, that sound, that thunk, and then you pull the lock down and open your lock. Well, that's the combination. That's the mechanism. So letting go has steps. Step number 1 to letting go is to be able to experience the feeling you're experiencing and accepting it. So if you're angry, you don't deny that anger and you don't suppress that anger. You accept that anger. You accept it right there. You accept that feeling. And that's right there when you begin to change the reflex. Because the old you will stay in that emotion. The old you will stay in that emotion, and then you'll own that emotion. And you'll actually take pride in it. So pride has more than one meaning. Pride means you're too proud to let go. You're too proud to humble up. You're too proud to ask for forgiveness. Because that pride doesn't want to let go because the ego thinks that's weak. And in pride, you're angry. And so that anger is what you hold on to. In reality, that just debilitates you. It exhausts you, alienates good people from you. It sends a mixed message to good people who are there to assist you, to empower you. And it alienates good people who really want to be there for you. And the ego can't see that because the ego just sees a lion and a tiger that's out to get me. And it's important that you're able to see the people's goodness from other people's poor intentions. And when you're able to separate your feelings from that, that is called truth. That is called trust. And this is why it's important to trust your feelings rather than your analytical egoic mind. And then the ego goes, yeah, but when I trust people, I get in trouble. Well, you learn who to trust and how to trust them. So accepting and then understanding how you got to where you got. You have a better understanding of why you do what you do. You have a better understanding of how the reflexes of fight or flight are 0 to 90 like this. And when you can begin to interrupt that behavior, Dr. Joe Dispenza says this in the movie What the Bleep. You can go back and find the clips from the movie What the Bleep, produced in 2005. I met Dr. Joe in 2006 and booked him to speak in an event. He's where I heard no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. It means that the cells and the receptor cells that form the neurological network of neurons that wire and fire that form your feelings, they no longer have a shelf life. They begin to dissipate. They don't come together and cluster. They go like this. They separate. So you're separating your feelings. That's when you move into acceptance to forgiveness. And you're able to forgive the people who've traumatized you. That doesn't mean you have a conversation with them. That doesn't mean that you talk to them. It means that you no longer hold space. You don't rent space and anxiety, fear, and doubt for them. You don't hold on to your anger for people who took advantage of you. You're able to forgive and let go. And that type of forgiveness is for you, not them. You're forgiving them for what they did to you. And then you begin to forgive yourself for how much time you've procrastinated, avoided, got ready to get ready, misread situations and blamed people for your own transgressions, or blamed yourself for situations you didn't do, and you begin the practice of forgiveness. And then the breath cycle. So if you have lived in trauma bonds and panic patterns, you're in a short breath cycle. So you're going to interrupt people in mid-sentence. You're going to talk long sentences. You're going to feel sensitive and defensive like this. But when you begin to understand that, and you begin to acknowledge why you do what you do, and you put energy into this process of letting go, your life begins to change. Subtly, just gradually, you'll start to see a different type of situation show up for you. Different people show up. Parking spaces show up. Money comes in the mail to you from precarious situations. An online purchase is made. Someone calls you and is ready to buy from you. And you don't have to explain it. You begin to accept it. That's part of the acceptance. And you stop sabotaging yourself because you're accepting how good you possibly could be. You're accepting that I do deserve this to happen to me. You begin to accept and expect as you are changing, being in the flow. Thank you, Ray. So the more that you're able to let go, separate your feelings from the events that shape them. Now, this is a skill. This is what letting go is. Letting go is 2 words. The most underdeveloped 2 words in the English language. The most misunderstood words in the English language. Letting go is a separation. I'll say it thousands of times. The separation between the feelings and the events that shape them. So when you are no longer the mind-body connection, so that you can have asthma, you can have eczema. And so that's the physical manifestation of the feelings you're holding on to. Or you can have gut issues, or irritable bowel syndrome, or prostate issues, or a multitude of situations. You can have your neck go out of place. These are mind-body connections. As you begin to let go, the healing process begins, because the receptor cells no longer collapse into the neurons that wire and fire. This is what letting go is. You're being able to separate your feelings from the events that shape them. So in letting go, you're changing the reflexes of the fight or flight mechanism, the hypervigilance you grow up into. And as you begin to do this, the amygdala of your brain that has the brain fog actually begins to shrink. because you're now starting to access your whole body. You're starting to breathe, and you're starting to breathe oxygen and love and joy into your system rather than anxiety, fear, and doubt. When you were traumatized as a child, when you were neglected as a child, when men or women were going in and out of your household, when you weren't good enough or you didn't stack up next to your brother or your sister, or you couldn't perform to a set of circumstances, or you were that adopted kid that comes in the household, or you have the crazy narcissistic mother who uses the wooden spoon to discipline you, and you don't even require the discipline. Then you live in fight or flight all the time. When you're in a fight or flight as a grown-up, you're expecting the other shoe to drop. You're waiting to make a mistake, get in trouble, say the wrong thing. And so the relationships you're in become very similar to the ones you grew up in, and there's sabotage. And then the good situations that show up, you tend to overlook them because the ego doesn't expect that to happen to you. So for those of you who are tuning in here today, thank you for being here today. Lisa Vanderspeck, good to see you. Corey Van Winkle, Antoinette, good to see you watching this afternoon. If you're not my Facebook friend, send me a Facebook request. Hit the like button if you like the content today. It'll bring you more into my news feed. You'll get the updates. I do Facebook Lives twice a day on Tuesday and once a day every day, 7 days a week. The topic for today's Facebook Live is trauma bonds and panic patterns and how to let go of the feelings that we hold on to about the outcome that we unconsciously keep creating over and over. I mean, as you move into higher states of awareness, you deserve to be your best. As you move into higher states of consciousness, you'll change who and what you attract. As you begin to let go of not being good enough, a whole different level of energy will start to manifest for itself. You'll start to get raises in your job. A different type of person will show up. You'll have restaurant booths will be open for you. Parking spaces are there. Synchronistic events begin to happen because you are now creating your own vision. You're creating clarity. In that clarity, you're not in brain fog. The most traumatizing aspect of being in trauma is the brain fog you live in, because that is what keeps you in discernment. You can't decide what's good for you. And so bad love becomes better than no love. We'll stay in dysfunctional relationships. We'll stay in jobs and careers that aren't empowering. We'll stay in companies and situations that aren't good for us. And then opportunities that avail themselves, we can't take that risk because we're not sure of the outcome. So we stay connected to bad love and bad opportunities because bad opportunities and bad love are better than no opportunities and no love. That's what the ego says. So this is why so many people in brain fog and traumatic relationships will stay in relationships because they can't see themselves leaving it. Because just like I said, bad love becomes better than no love. And procrastination becomes a way of life because barely getting by and pulling it off, there's a neurochemical craving that is created between the cortisol and the adrenaline of just pulling it off. Just one of my clients said this today, scooting by. I mean, what does scooting by mean? Is that like you're on this little skateboard and you just scoot by the finish line at the last minute as you finish last? Well, that's not the ideal situation. Pulling it off the last minute, all it does is create last minute anxiety that keeps you addicted to pulling it off. And the pleasure isn't worth the pain. It is an absolute skill set to interrupt a feeling in mid-moment. That's the difference between reacting to stimulus and responding to stimulus, so that you are stimulus response and not the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. And you're actually elevating your consciousness. You're looking down on anxiety, fear, and doubt. As Aaron just said, you're no longer winging it. And you move into a higher state of prosperity. You move more into the flow. And then opportunities avail themselves differently. It's amazing as the universe opens up to you. And that happens because you begin to deserve it. And then you stop doubting how good you can be. And you stop spending so much time on anxiety, fear, and doubt. You spend less time making people wrong. You spend less time in your head trying to figure everything out. You spend less time trying to make sense of situations. And you spend more time living in the solution, practicing sobriety and recovery, elevating your levels of consciousness a day at a time, continuing to scale a business and scale your life so that you can become your best self. It doesn't matter whether you're 18 or 81. What matters is that you give yourself permission to be your best self. My name is Jeffrey Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. If you are new to my content, go ahead and hit the like button. It will put you in my news feed where you'll receive all my updates. If you haven't sent me a friend request, feel free to send me one. And if you would like to revisit coaching as a former client, or if you're a new client and would like to speak to me about my coaching services, go ahead and send me a message on Facebook, and I will respond to you immediately. Thank you, Ray. That is a deep compliment. Beth Ireland, good to see you. Rick Stout, you are crushing it. Alan Noble, so good to see you here from Ireland. I've known Alan Noble since 1998 when he was 24 years old. Alan went on to become a multiple six-figure income earner in this industry. Alicia Marie, good to see you this afternoon. I've had the privilege of being Alicia's coach since 2017. I know Beth Ireland back from 2006. Ray, I know you from back in the day before 2010. So good to have had dinner with you in Chicago, Illinois at Maggiano's. Have a great evening, have a great afternoon, everyone. My privilege and pleasure to be here with you. You have a great day.